Fellas, the United States of America wants out of the United Nations. This is scary. Then we're going to go to South Africa. The Zulu king is going through a divorce. The first wife is not easy, and the third wife is not a joke. You want to find out about that. And then we're going to go to India. In India, they have developed the AI to cancel Indian accents and Nigerian accents. Okay, what's up everybody? Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. Well, if you're looking for news in Africa, you're at the right place. You want to know about any part of Africa, my brother, you are at the right place. We talk about Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa, Nigeria, even if they don't like it, we don't talk about them. Sudan, South Sudan, Namibia, Malawi, you name it. One me boss, I see you from Jamaica. I salute you from the US, from the Caribbean, we're family. We need to come together from time to time and have a discussion and talk to one another. Okay, so we're gonna jump into this. Now, in America, they want out of the United Nations. A legislation has been put through by Mike Lee, a senator, asking for complete US withdrawal from the United Nations in 2025. This is scary, isn't it? So basically, this legislation aims to terminate the US membership in the United Nations and affiliated agencies. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why America want to get out of the United Nations? I mean, they're one of the bigger players, right? They have veto power and stuff. They order most of the people how the world is going to be. Why do they want out of the United Nations? Well, the reasons are very simple. The lawmakers argue that the UN does not serve the American interests anymore, and it has become a platform for attacks on the US and its allies. Number two, they also criticize the UN for its perceived corruption ineffectiveness. Number three, the points to issues that is perceived anti-Israel bias and other issues that is unacceptable. So we have 3 points here. Number one, they say it does not serve the interests of the United States of America. In other words, many of the things happening in the United Nations do not progress America anymore. And America is seen to be losing. And by doing so, what are these people trying to achieve? They feel like it will repeal acts that bind the US to the UN. It will seize all United Nations financial support to the UN because they are the biggest financial supporters. And it will prohibit the US involvement in peacemaking operations.
I've always felt that the UN has tremendous potential. It's not living up to that potential right now. It really isn't, hasn't for a long time. It has, there are great hopes for it, but it's not being well run, to be honest, and they're not doing the job. A lot of these conflicts that we're working on should be settled, or at least we should have some help in settling them. We never seem to get help. That should be the primary purpose of the UN, the United Nations. And again, it's got great potential, and based on the potential, we'll continue to go along with it, but they got to get their act together.
Let's make it easy, okay? I know it's quite fast. So the United Nations, what is the United Nations? The United Nations was created after World War II. Why was it created? It was created with the aim of bringing countries together, mainly to avoid another world war. The goals of the United Nations: preventing another world war, maintaining international peace and security, upholding human rights. What we can notice right now already, nobody's preventing world war. With stuff happening in Ukraine with Russia, everybody's pushing fundings and money and weapons, pushing everybody to world war. Number two, after maintaining international peace, they're clearly not maintaining international peace, because international peace seems to be valid for certain people, not for other people. Is the United Nations upholding human rights? I'm not sure about that. You just look into that space in the Middle East where you don't name the country, and you tell me if you believe the United Nations is upholding human rights. So why America want to do this? America is talking about the America First approach, meaning first America, the world after. Everything for America first, the world after. Now, as you can see throughout the war of Russia and Ukraine, many nations are standing up to the United States of America. Why? Because they feel there's a level of bias. Okay, so there are laws for some people and laws for others. So when that country that you don't name go into that other country, it's okay, nobody makes a noise. But when the Russians go into Ukraine, then everybody stands up against them. So there's a level of bias, and people are not happy about that. And that's clearly the reason why many African nations refuse to vote against Russia when they ask them to do so. So by not voting for Russia, that's a clear indication that it is not in the interest of the United States of America anymore. America would have wanted many African nations and all of the nations that get money from them to vote for them or to always side to them. Well, the reality is different. It's not happening that way. Things are changing. People are waking up. They are not tolerating just anything anymore. And I don't think they like that very much. The bottom line is there was a prosecutor from the United Nations that accused that country you don't name of Gino, I'm not going to finish the word. And you know what happened? American senators menaced him. They say, we're going to make your life hell on earth. You will not get a visa to the United States of America anymore. We're going to sanction you and your family.
America should punish the ICC and put Karim Khan back in his place. And if the ICC is allowed to threaten Israel's leaders, we know that America will be next. If the ICC moves forward with its absurd warrant arrest or request, this is going to be an even bigger international problem.
So for them, that was not for the interest of the US, but for the people that are persecuted on the other side, they felt that that was human right for them. So human right for some and no human right for others. Now, America feels they want to withdraw from that. Now, why is this important? Because the United States of America alone is the biggest contributor to the United Nations. How does the United Nations make money? Because of contribution from countries and entities. And this contribution is done in a way depending on how much money a country can afford. So there's a percentage of your GDP that you pay to the United Nations. As you would imagine, America gives the most, to $13 billion a year, at least, to the United Nations. And they feel like they want to focus that amount of money to Americans. No more United Nations. Now, by pulling out of the United Nations, they are also pulling out of WHO. So they're not going to be part of that. You can do your own things the way you want to do. Is this good news or not? Do you feel like the United Nations has been serving the interests of the world the way it's supposed to do? Do you remember when they went to Iraq and destroyed everything, accusing Iraq of hiding weapons of mass destruction? Did they find them? They never found them. Robert Mugabe, president of Zimbabwe, has been very vocal about the United Nations. Why do only some countries have veto power while we don't have veto power? There are only 5 countries that have veto power.
We come to the United Nations, it's ceremonial. Every year, September, we are there. We pay lots of money to go there. And to the General Assembly, we make speeches, we go back home, year in, year out. But the bosses in the Security Council say, you shall never have the powers that we have as permanent members. And we have asked and asked and asked. And asked and asked. Reform the Security Council.
And that's United States of America, the UK, France, China, and Russia. Those are the only 5 countries that have veto power. In other words, if 20 countries say they like the color blue, and one of these nations say they like the color red, all of you have to go to color red. If 55 countries say they want to eat bananas, and one of these countries say they want to eat peanuts, everybody have to eat peanuts because they have veto power. Now, they're talking about equality. Is this equality? It's not. Should the world be worried that some senator in America wants America to withdraw from the United Nations because things don't seem to be working the way America wanted to be working? Let me know how you feel about that. Now we're going to South Africa. Fellas, in South Africa, the king of the Zulus is going through something very interesting. He's going through a divorce. And his wife is fighting back. I know a lot of people think all Black South Africans are Zulus. No, they are not all Zulus. Zulu is a tribe, okay? Like many African countries, South Africa has 11 languages and different tribes. You have Zulus, Xhosas, Tswanas, Pedi, Tsonga, Ndebele, Vedas, and more. So everybody Black from South Africa is not necessarily Zulu. Okay, even though the Zulus are probably the most populous group of South Africans. The king of Zulus, you probably remember Shaka Zulu, great king, great stories. We all watched that on TV. The king of Zulus, the current king of Zulu, is going through a divorce. The situation is his first wife is fighting back. Why are they going through the divorce first? Because allegedly the king of the Zulus wanted to marry a third wife. Therefore, the first wife who was married to him before he became king, felt like, well, that's not acceptable. You cannot have another wife. And for you to have another wife, you need to change our marriage system. The first wife wrote to the court. He says the king will be committing an offense of bigamy without first converting our civil marriage into traditional Zulu marriage. So she's saying the king will be committing an offense if he marries another woman without converting their marriage from civil to traditional. Clearly, you ask yourself, what does that mean? In South Africa, there are many types of marriages. Okay, I'm just going to cite a few of them. There is civil marriage, there's traditional marriage, there's religious marriage, and many other more. Now, if you marry your partner opting for civil marriage, that's a monogamous marriage. Okay, you cannot have another woman. So in South Africa, there are multiple types of marriages. There's civil marriage, there's customary marriage, there's civil union marriage, there's religious marriage, and many other types of marriage. Okay, we're going to focus on those three. Okay, the civil marriage is what you know. It's basically, these are marriages governed by the Act of 1961. The civil marriage is a monogamous marriage. You cannot have another partner. It's one person that's registered. Customary marriage is when you pay the bride price. They call it lobola or dot. That's how you do the African way. Now, however, this allows you to have multiple wives. Religious marriage, as you will understand, is religious marriage. So somebody married in civil marriage cannot marry another wife. Okay, you have to convert. And South Africa gives you the option to convert from civil marriage to customary marriage. Only customary marriages are ones allowed to have multiple wives. Now, the king, is a man, is a strong man, like many traditional chiefs. They most of the time have multiple wives. He's from the king bloodline. Now, the king decided he wanted a third wife, and the queen, number one, did not like that. So, as you would imagine, it was mayhem between them. Now, the issue here is she went to court, asking for court to disallow that event to happen because the king is married to her in the civil system of marriage and not customary. Now, the court rejected that. Why did the court reject that? The court rejected that because apparently she had given him the authorization to do it already in the past because there is a second wife. So she didn't get angry when he took a second wife, but she got very angry when he suggested taking a third wife. The court said you already gave your consent to that, so we cannot reverse that. Now, there's a comment here from Prof. Mazibuko, a cultural expert in South African University of Johannesburg.
How it is taking place, it is also, creating some unrest, even amongst the Zulu people. Yes, people are divorcing. The statistics are a testimony to that because the numbers are very high for divorces. But how it is taking place, it is something that is destroying the image of the king as well as the image of the nation.
She says in Zulu culture, there's no such thing as divorce. You are supposed to chase your wife. This is Prof. Gugu Mazibuko, that you're supposed to chase your wife. It's just funny. That's in most Africa, he chased his wife. We heard the word divorce after we grew up. Like, we usually know that the husband chased his wife. Now, the king of the Zulus, my brothers, don't just pick any girl, trust me, okay? The women's are top tiers. The second wife is the Queen Noziwe Kumlala. Who is this lovely lady? She's an experienced banking executive from Eswatini with a background in law. You see? In law, my brother, she's not stupid. Now, as you can see, this lady is not just anybody. The second wife is well accomplished academically, has held various influential positions in the Swatini banking sector. Her mother was the first Swati woman to obtain a PhD, and she was the first female vice chancellor of the University of Eswatini. You know, they say cats don't give birth to dogs, okay? Her mom received a PhD and she's top tier. So as you can see, you're probably from America and stuff and you don't understand this. Polygamy has nothing to do with poverty. It has nothing to do with lack of education. Polygamy is firstly cultural. People grow up, they learn that from childhood and it poses them no problem. South Africa or the Zulus are not the only people where you're going to find polygamous couples. You find a lot of them in West Africa as well. Many African countries, Uganda, Tanzania, you find polygamous families. And trust me, it's not just because they're polygamous that they have problems. Matter of fact, many monogamous marriages have massive problems. Okay? Don't just think because you have, multiple people family, that's where you have problems. As much as you will find families that are polygamous that have problems, I have witnessed myself a polygamous family where people are very happy. Matter of fact, wife number one can punish the child of wife number two. Hey, give him a, you know what I mean? The kid will cry, hey, and wife number two is watching because she understands there is no animosity. The ones that I saw myself, they were the best friends in the world. They work together everywhere they went. So it's a matter of mentality. Just like you see polygamy, many people see, men without a man. You know what I mean? Yeah, many Africans look at you like weird. Like, what is this? It's the same way you look at polygamy. So it has nothing to do with lack of brains. I think it's everything to do with culture. Now, is the first wife right to say, no, my brother, you're not going to have another wife, a third wife? Well, you can understand because she was with him before he became king. So she got a bit of a leverage. Like, I know you, my brother. I know you before you were king. It's not because you become king that you think you can push me around. I'm not going to accept that. So you can see from that perspective, perhaps, that's maybe the reason why she feels like, no, I'm not accepting this. But the king feels like, okay, sorry, my dear, I want another wife. I want a third wife. So if you don't like it, well, when you marry somebody from a bloodline of kings, I think to some level you should expect them, perhaps, sometimes, it's a possibility somewhere. Now we're moving to India, fellas. Now in India, they have created something very interesting, okay? India has created an AI to cancel Indian accent. You understand, my brother? So you can't say that, my brother, anymore. When somebody calls you on the phone, you have to pick up the phone and you've received calls. I'm just kidding. You've received calls like that, right? Sometimes you get a phone call from a reputable bank, but the accent is Indian. And sometimes you ask yourself questions. You go like, is this genuine? It sounds like a scam, right? Because they don't sound British. Well, the Indians have created an AI. And one of the biggest companies called Teleperformance. It's one of the biggest call centers. This AI will cancel Indian accent and Nigerian accent. Yeah, so the Nigerians must be very happy right now, especially those scammers. They cannot act like they're Irish and British. Hello, how are you doing today, madam? No more. Oga, you shut up. You shut up. I'm talking to you.
Oga, shut up, please.
Is this AI important? Question mark. Number one, it's maybe important because it helps you hear what the person's saying on the other side. If he's from India, not from Nigeria, but from India. I'm just kidding. But on the other side is, it allows the Nigerian, it allows the scammers to use AI to transform their voice to sound genuine. Now, should the Indians feel bad about their accent? Why do India have so much call centers? The bottom line is many companies in the world hire Indians because of the facilities. Okay, the Indians are very good, they're very astute, and it doesn't cost a lot of money for big companies. The companies like Sony, Samsung, and stuff, all of them, they have call centers based in India. Some of the software creators, some of the biggest are in India. India, in fact, has about 350,000 call centers, my brother. 350,000, and they service the entire world. Sometimes when they call you, they're genuine. I remember going to America and I got a call from Verizon. The guy was speaking he was like, I don't know, can you hear me, my brother? I couldn't hear a thing of what he was saying. But he was genuine. Now, is this going to be profitable for the Indians? Yes. Is it going to create more mayhem? Absolutely. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. It was a great pleasure. These companies don't want to pay British people because it costs too much money. Therefore, they have to hire people from India. Like I said earlier, the United States of America don't want to be part of the United Nations anymore because it doesn't suit their interests. The Zulu king of KwaZulu is going through the most with his first wife, especially because she's no pushover. And the Zulu king has taste. He only speaks to good-looking and smart women. The Indians with their AI. Let me know if you love this. God bless.